Ellen, let's make a start. So welcome everybody to another Smart Solutions Showcase webinar. Today we are joined by Steve and Bob from Apps4Wales. And today we are going to be hearing about how a town app could benefit a town. As always, these webinars are aimed towards people who want to see technology being adopted in a town, and it's an opportunity for companies such as Apps4Wales to demonstrate what they're able to offer towns. So throughout the webinar, Steve and Bob will be presenting some of the work that they've done, and feel free to ask questions along the way. If you have any specific questions towards the end, there's a 10-minute session for Q&As. And as I've just mentioned, this webinar is being recorded and will be shared with everybody. So hopefully you'll find the content very interesting and helpful. And with that being said, I'll hand it over to you, Steve and Bob.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. Hi, I'm Bob Gwynn. I'm a business owner with over 40 years experience in high technology sales, marketing and senior management. Much of that time I've spent in the global electronics marketplace, working for Japanese and American manufacturers of electronic components. I'm now the owner of Apps4Wales, and we're highly involved in developing apps for towns. Over to you, Steve.
Hi, my name's Steve Hoggett and I run IT Associates, and I partnered with Bob a couple of years ago, purely simply to get into the app market, which I had looked in the previous times, but back then they were all costing 20,000, 30,000. So enough of the nonsense from me, and we get started.
Okay. Okay, today we're going to cover what's changed in mobile comms, kind of setting the scene, if you like, for the whole thing. Why it's a mobile world, why have a town app, who benefits from a town app, and we're going to run through an app that was developed by a colleague of ours for a town in England, but it's a very, very comprehensive app for the town. We're going to cover the need for a digital officer to handle things ongoing, and we'll show you how to create a sustainable business model to keep the app going. And then it'll be questions, and hopefully some decent answers. Okay, what's changed? It's pretty dramatic, and COVID has really magnified it. A smartphone is now seen as an essential. You just don't leave home without it. The world isn't going mobile. It already has. By 2021, there'll be around 7 billion mobile users worldwide. I think some people have more than one. Now, how many times do you look at your mobile a day? We've got data that shows that it's somewhere around 63 times. That's the average anyway. Some people a hell of a lot more, some people a lot less. But the average is 63 times a day. And the average time spent on mobiles is increasing all the time. It's now up to around about, on average, 3.5 hours a day. Okay, that's a hell of a lot more than I thought it was, but that's the statistic. Now, let's move on to the revenue, okay, that's actually being generated from within mobile apps, okay? And you can see how dramatically that's increased since 2016. It's now, okay, predicted to be $935 billion, okay, by 2023. That's nearly $1 trillion. It's extraordinary how how that business has exploded in the last few years. Okay, there are now approaching 2 million apps on the Apple Store and approaching 3 million on the Google Play Store. That's a lot of apps out there. Okay. And the full impact of global lockdown, has seen a massive surge, okay, in the spending on apps. It surged by 40% in a year. Massive growth. So around about 32 billion on in-app purchases across the market. That was just in Q1 this year. It's the biggest quarter since records began, and it's 40% up on the same quarter for 2020. So these numbers are truly staggering, okay? I'm just trying to put things in perspective here, okay? We're just a small part of this global phenomenon, but we can all still participate. Our cost-effective way of app development makes it possible for us, all of us, to play with the big boys. Over to Steve.
Okay, so I think we need to just clarify. So what is an app? It's a separate program that's stored locally on your mobile phone or device that uses the device's hardware and software features that creates a better, more intuitive and faster user experience. And it will be named as a native app. Whereas if you have a website, that will have to run within a web browser, which will then obviously, to work effectively on a mobile device, needs to be in a responsive design. But fundamentally, they can't access the elements of your phone. So that is the biggest thing. What we're working with here is a native app. So why have a town app? We believe that everything in its place and a place for everything, basically bringing in all of the useful links that we all search for. It'll help promote the town and businesses to increase visitor numbers by keeping people informed. It makes life easier if those links are put into an easy to use interface, which is logically laid out, and makes the opportunity for you to make offers to your potential customers, which are basically people that have downloaded the app. You'll be able to message your app users directly. We believe in sort of like minimizing the amount of clicks to get to where you need to be. And we would like to see that, your town participating in a digital world, and apps make life easier. Do. So when we've been looking into this, we believe that we can categorize it in the following way, that we have three basic sectors: the local community, the local businesses, and the visitors. And that's what we want to do, is group all of the useful links and services under those three headings. And obviously there's a bit of overlap, but basically by doing that, we can make sure that we create a very simple to use interface. So what could you have on the app? Let's start with the local community. Well, obviously, the services that the residents of the town. So ideally, your GP surgeries, your pharmacies, and what's important with those is your opening times and your locations. You can have all of the groups that participate in the area. It would be voluntary or a clubs directory. Where you want to go and walk, either with a dog or not with a dog. Again, we can create lists to provide all those locations, the parks, education, all the schools, all the nurseries, again, with details on each of those elements. Travel, bus timetables, bus stops, we can put a map up where all the bus stops are in the town, taxis, and travel warnings from your local AA. And someone's knocking at my door. Bob, would you mind going and sorting out for me, please? Sorry for that. And of course, then what we can do is we can also link to a local newspaper website for any local news. And by no means, this isn't a complete list. So what can you have on your app for local businesses? Well, without question, a business directory. And again, this can be categorized. We do know of another town that has got a business directory already created. Well, that's not a problem, because we could just link to something that has already been created. And of course, then with that, you can have offers and events publicized through the app, and that will help with promotion. But obviously, one of the biggest and most fundamental things with what we want to do is create a restricted area for people that have been asked for access to the Smart Town data dashboard, so that you would actually be able to get the footfall live, and plus any other information that was being made available. And also, if in that dashboard, if there was publicly useful information, then we would make that available as well. So as far as visitors are concerned, car parks, places with EV charging points could be put on a map again, attractions and things to do, playgrounds, parks, days out. History, you know, there's a lot of history in the towns because they're so old. So, you know, you could put up tour guides, historic sites, points of interest, eating and drinking, list of pubs, restaurants, coffees, bars, and so on. And of course, facilities when they come in, public toilets, post office locations, even post boxes, and then with hotels, B&Bs, inns, and so on. So basically, anyone that was coming to your town would have the full scope of everything that they might need. Key app features. The push messaging is fantastic for promotion, because basically everyone that's downloaded, you now have the ability to make contact with them, and it's extremely powerful. Events that are created within the app will allow basically people to put up whatever events are coming. I mean, I use the example. So if I were to go and say, see live music in Carmarthen, you know, if there was an update sent out on a Friday, give me details of each place that had a particular type of music, I could then click on whichever one I wanted and then book a table or whatever. And so we would label that up as what's occurring in your town. We also have the ability to do bilingual. In our platform, it is pretty cutting edge in many respects. So we can do it almost to 90%. The only places that we wouldn't be able to do it is if we have like a button that says submit on it. But fundamentally, if you wanted to create an English and a Welsh language, we can do that. We can link to absolutely anything. If you've got a URL, we can link to it. So it doesn't matter if you've got something from a previous funded project, we can link that in. We can also make use of QR codes. And again, simple things like polls, which are run at Christmas for shops, their shop displays. We can put up forms which will act as a poll. And then, of course, rich media, we can do video, we can do audio. So if you want to do just an audio tour of some historical points of interest, you could do that, see the video, and galleries of photographs of the town as well. Benefits. Well, for the local community, what we're after here is to make it ease of use. Everything's in one place, and they're getting informed of what's going in their local town, and obviously then to promote local offers from local businesses. As far as a business is concerned, we're interested in the fact is that when the business is in the app, and if the resident or the visitor is downloaded that app, they're not searching on Google for that service or that link. It's within the app, so you're not necessarily going to be in competition. So you're in the pocket of your customer, and just one arm's length away from them. Another benefit, of course, we see that by having the Smart Town dashboard data where you can get the footfall, the fact that it's actually live, so you can see it when you need it. For visitors, hopefully, because they can see the information they need easily, they know where to go and park, they know what's available in the town, and they know how to find out about events. So that brings us on to the demonstration. If I hand it back to you, Bob.
Thank you, Steve.
And I shall share. Yeah.
Share the app, please. Great. I'm always a bit concerned when we're doing live demonstrations. The potential for things going wrong is massive, but this seems to be working okay. Great. This is the Harpenden Guide. Okay, it's probably the most comprehensive town app we've ever seen. okay, and it was developed by a colleague of ours, okay, that using the same software that we use, and it's also been shortlisted for a business award in Hertfordshire, okay. But it's only an example of what can be done. You can have your app your way. Okay, let's take a look at the local directory, Steve. We can do that. Okay, this lays out the business directory, community directory, where to visit, where to play, where to walk with or without your dog, and where to park. If we start on the business directory, Steve, this gives a listing of all the businesses locally, and the guys who developed this in Harpington decided to make it maximum of 6 miles radius of the town. They've had people from all over the country trying to advertise their business on it, and they've refused completely. So it's a local app for local businesses, and that's what it's promoted as. If we take a look at the beauty and pampering side of things, okay, so it's just one click. If we have a look at the hair salon, okay, and there you have all the information you could possibly need to know about that hairdressers, phone number, where they are, and their website, okay, and the ability to follow them on Facebook, all their social media, everything is there, and you can link into their website and book. That's not a problem. So everything you need to know about that business is there. You go back to have a quick look at building and construction, and inside out. Okay, sorry, I'm ahead of you. That's the second one down. Again, everything is there that you need to know, and they've even got some of their projects on there as well. So again, it's a great little advert for the business. Okay, moving on to media and comms. It's down a bit. And Big Buzz Productions at the top. Again, shows what they do. Quick photo, all the contact details, a little bit about what they do, and a link to their website. So for business, it's a fantastic little pocket guide, if you like, for the town, and every business has signed up to this. If we go on back then, Steve, to the community side of things, community directory, and again, there's a massive range of different things available, from the charities through to the town council, recycling, massive range of things there. Okay, so if you can take a look at the charities and the voluntary. The top.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we've got a list of all the local charities. Have a look at the Keach Hospice Care. Again, all the information you need to know about what they do. They've even got a video link on there. So, massive amount of information about what they do, and it's easy to contact them. You want to go back to the recycling. And take a look at the I should think the collection, the recycling centre, Steve?
That's it, yeah.
Yeah. So again, this is the opening hours are there, what they take, everything you need to know about the site recycling within the town is all in one place. Come back again.
Sorry, I was going to just say that, you know, this is just showing you a link actually into the council's website, so to carry out the task. There we go.
Okay. Go back to the main directory again, the community, where to visit. Okay. All the local places of interest are on there, and it's easy to click on, say, the Havilland Aircraft Museum is an interesting place. Again, everything you need to know about them, it's there, easy to get through to them, easy to get on the website, easy to book. If we look at maybe Hatfield House, oh sorry, no, go on.
So my apologies.
Yeah. I don't want to get this, you know, this to get too boring, basically, but it's fundamentally taking you through all the different things you can put on here. Again, a wonderful ad for Hatfield House. Okay, if we go back to the where to play, okay, all the parks are on here, and we on the right hand side there is how far you are away from it, but obviously that's not active because we're not actually in the town, so it would tell you how far you are away from those parks when you're in the town. Pretty comprehensive range of where, you know, where to, all the parks and all the play areas are there. Okay, where to walk. All the walking areas are there, even the routes on a map are shown. You want a quick look at those. And again, it'll show you how far you are away from them if you're in the town. Go back to where to park. All the town car parks are there, and their hourly charges are there as well. So gives visitors a good chance to see where they can go to park. Now we're thinking with the Smart Towns initiative, we would like to link the app to the data that's being provided in the towns, and one of the key bits of data would be the availability of car parking spaces within each car park. That kind of information can be displayed for visitors within an app. We've still got a little bit of technical work to do with this, but we're pretty sure we can actually link to the smart data being produced by the data at the car parks. Okay, so we're going to take it a step further, if you like. Right, if we go back to the main directory, Steve, and come down to local offers. Okay, and look at the local offers. This will give you what businesses, the type of things that businesses are actually offering. Okay, you're from within the app, and lots of them are saying, you know, 20% off if you come in and show us the app that you've actually got the app. So it's linked to people who have downloaded the app. That's visitors and locals alike. So mention the app and you can get a discount fundamentally. These can change at any time. It's down to the business if they want them up there, and they can have them down or changed anytime they want. Have a look. Come back, if you like, to the local news. Okay, this is a link to the local paper. Everything you need to know. It's you know, it's a quick link again. It's somewhere to get to very quickly and easily for the local news. I've skipped over a few things here, but we've got links there for sale. Okay, this is houses is a link to Rightmove, but it could be a link to a local estate agent, no problem at all. Again, fantastic to find out quickly and easily what houses are up for sale or rent. We can go through local post boxes. There's a map there with all the post boxes on. Really handy that. If you're a visitor to a town and you're going to send a postcard off straight away, there you got all the post boxes. Okay, thank you, Steve. We've also got job vacancies. This is a link to Indeed, but it could be a link to a local employment agency. It's up to you, really. It's always up to the town as to what they want, but it's available. Again, another link. We'll look at, come down a bit, local travel. We've got road travel, that's a link to the AA site. Okay, gives you any issues on the roads in the local area. Highlighted on the map.
Stay away from the M1.
There you go. You go back and take a look at local rail. You've got all the Thameslink information there, so you can actually even book tickets on there. Okay, buy tickets on there using the Thameslink site. And local bus travel. Okay, you've got all the bus routes. This is fantastic information if you don't know your way around very well, but you can certainly find everything you need to know about the about getting around by bus within a town. We come back now to and back again, Steve, and come down and what's on. All the local events are all in one place. Now, we were asked a question by a client last night if it's possible to be able to buy tickets for these events through the app, and the answer is yes, that can be set up. So it's taking it just one stage further again from just telling people about things. Can you come back again, please? And scroll down. I think we're seeing the updates are all what's been done recently on the app. The fact that it's up for an award, a local business award. And coming will be the ability, if you come down a little bit, Steve, a little bit, they're also adding the ability to be able to book a table for a restaurant or a pub through the app. That's coming soon. Okay, and again, we could make this available, no problem. I think all the information then is the rest of the information is contact information. You can contact them, and a great little thing there is suggest a feature. Okay, it's just a form basically. If you've got an idea, if you'd like to add something you think is a good idea to have on the app, you have the ability as a member of the public to suggest a feature. It isn't necessarily going to be taken up, but at least they're asking for the information as to what can be added. You can, if there's an error, see an error on there, something that's not correct, again, you can report it. Businesses can amend their business listing on there. And if you've got an event, you can add an event on there as well. Okay, if you come back then, come right to the bottom, Steve. Okay. That is another one at the bottom.
No, that's it.
That's it. That's it. Okay, I think we'll all agree that's a pretty comprehensive amount of information all in one place. I think we kind of estimated that if you wanted to Google all of that, you're probably into about 30 different searches for the information. To have it just at your fingertips like that is absolutely fantastic. Okay, thank you. I'll just leave the sum up link.
There we go. I can see it now. Okay, right. Okay, so one of the biggest things that comes to mind with the app, and we kind of highlighted it a little earlier, is the fact that when the app is running in the first year, especially if it's being funded, there's obviously quite a lot of work to be done. But more importantly, what happens after. And we feel very strongly that someone needs to be hired, be it full-time, part-time, depending on the size of the town, to and communicate with we believe that most of the reasons perhaps that sometimes these town apps have not succeeded needs to be involved to get the best out of it. So again, back to the fact that if we have a funded app, which is great, but it gives us, say, a year to get it rolled out, get all the businesses on board, make sure we've got all the useful things that the residents need, and we're giving a great deal of content then to the people that will be visiting our town. So once the funding is ended, is if we've done a good enough job and everyone's on board and seen success, and the downloads have been in the high numbers and everyone's using it, then we can see going forward from that we need to make sure that we can keep funding a person to be that digital officer. And we kind of think there's probably two possibilities, or just as suggestions, is that you could actually have an app sponsor, as the Harpington Guide does, and they just have a little bit more visibility but pay towards the funding of the costs of the app. And then of course there's the business listings, which again, the Harpington has gone for 3 levels of gold, silver and bronze, with an all different package of features and detail that you can put into your listing. To give us some indication, say there's 100 businesses and they all pay £50 for the whole year, that's £5,000 that can go towards paying for someone to work on this part-time. In terms of running the apps, we're looking at, there is a hosting charge, and then you have the App Store charges. Apple is about £79 a year, whereas the Google one is $25, I believe, one-time payment, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And
then, of course, the cost of actually having someone that can do the updates. So that sort of ends our presentation.
We hope it's provoked quite a few questions. So over to you guys, if you'd like to ask us anything you wish, please go ahead.
Well, before the questions come in, I'd just like to thank you both for that presentation and for the demonstration as well. I know doing a live demo can always be daunting because you never know what's going to happen, but you're able to show all the functions of what a town app can offer. I've got one question, and I think it's possibly along the same lines as a question that's come in as well, and that question is, with the businesses who's on the directory and the information that's about the businesses, is that the business or the digital officer's responsibility to put their information on there, or is that connected to something like Google My Business, where the information gets taken off of something like that?
Well, I think to start initially, that information is put up there by ourselves, but the information has to be provided by the businesses. Yeah. So Steve has some ideas on how to grab a lot of that information via Google My Business, but that's a means to get the information, if you like. But fundamentally, all of that information has been provided by the businesses, especially the description. And there's also the means for them to alter that information going forward, for them to directly affect it. Okay.
And that was a follow-up question that I had, because I know you touched on the feature that businesses can edit their own information. Is that something like that, I guess, regulated, that only the business
Yes, should we say it's submitted? It's not live. They're not changing that live. Okay, that's something that the digital officer will have to do, is be part of his tasks on a monthly basis or weekly basis. It depends. We envisage maybe if a county had a digital officer funded through a number of apps, then he could probably manage 3 or 4 towns without too much difficulty. Okay, because it's not a massive amount of time. Okay, to carry out each of the tasks. It's a case of it having to be done, and we train them. That's the whole point. We'll train them, right up front as to how to do this. Does that kind of cover everything?
Yeah, no, it definitely answered my question. And I know I asked the follow-up question, and you've answered that one as well. Feel free to pop your questions into. Okay, I think this might be a follow-up from that one. I'm not sure if you both can see the questions coming in.
The review idea.
Yeah, so I'll just read the question out so everybody knows of the questions. I'll just make sure that I answer this question first. Can there be a review feature, such as TripAdvisor? Can there be a public review service for businesses?
Yeah, it's a great idea, and of course they can. We can link to any review process available, or possibly devise our own. It's more than doable. It's a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, the thing here is, again, that there are so many elements that people have already invested their time into. So like putting their TripAdvisor or Google My Business or anything like that. So what we want to do is, we don't want to reinvent the wheel. We want to be able to link to as much as we can, so that we're not having to update multiple systems all the time.
So business reviews could actually be a part of the information that a business is actually providing on the business directory.
Okay.
And,
there's one more question. This question comes up in every webinar that we do, and obviously there's no clear-cut answer. It probably depends on what sort of features were needed for the town, and also maybe the size of the town. But someone's asked, how much would it cost to set up something similar to the Happening Guide for a town?
Okay, something along those lines. We somewhere between £2,000 and £3,000. Okay, and I know that's a wide area, but it would depend. A lot of that depends on how many businesses are actually involved, and how much information, if you like, has to be put into the app at the very up front. So is that it's a pretty wide range there, if you like. I'd say Harpenden would probably come somewhere in the middle of that. Okay, if you're looking at the features and the amount of information there. If you wanted a bilingual app, maybe that would be a little higher, because again, it almost doubles the the amount of work that has to be done, the number of pages that have to be provided. All the English ones, if you like, have to be repeated in Welsh, or if you look at it the other way around, all the Welsh ones have to be repeated in English. I got to get this right. But does that answer your question, basically? Does that give you a good idea? I want to give people like a ballpark area, so you've got an idea, is this a £500 product, or is it a £10,000 product? Of course, you can spend that amount of money if you wish, but that's not the kind of market that we're in. We're pitched at providing very effective apps for small and medium-sized businesses, and most of the town apps would actually fall into that area. There are people who develop a very comprehensive app for you from scratch, and it'll be coded from scratch, if you like, and those are starting points at around £15,000, £16,000 upwards. Somebody asked us a couple of days ago if we could have like a virtual reality,
the augmented reality.
Augmented reality, okay, where they'd have like a Welsh dragon destroying the castle or something like that, and then taking it, you're there from there. And we said, yeah, that's possible, but you can't afford it. Basically, you're talking £30,000, £40,000, plus to provide that kind of experience. And really and truly, would it be money well spent? It would look fantastic, but would it be necessary? And would it make the town app any more effective in providing the information that people really, really need to see? So,
I think that answered the question. And then, if on the Harpening Guide, you demonstrated that you've got the events that happen there on the app. So those sort of updates would have to happen from maybe the digital officer would get in touch with you. And would that be covered in kind of a monthly cost?
Well, the digital officer will be trained to actually put the events on.
Yeah.
So basically what we're saying here is that because there should be quite a considerable amount of information flowing in and out of what is needed, and when not, it's new events or take old ones off, and so on and so forth. By having that person there, that means that instead of everyone coming to us to ask us to do the updates, well, that's not really the idea we want. We want someone in the town who's promoting the app, doing all of the updates, communicating and building those relationships with the community and the businesses and the visitors to make sure that that app grows and develops and adds value. So they will be trained by us to make sure they can do everything they need to fulfill that.
And I guess is it an individual? Because I know we've had discussions before. Sometimes when putting an app together for a town, sometimes you can have too many cooks in the kitchen, and it overcomplicates things. So, as a recommendation, would you say for a town who were considering having a town app, that usually it's one or two people that's needed to manage the town app?
Max two people, literally.
Yeah, I will say that to be honest, that right at the beginning, it's actually getting the design of the app together. Okay, if there are 6 or 7 people involved in that process directly with us, that makes things kind of complex. Things work a lot easier if the committee decides on a representative, okay, from within the town to say, a lot of the data, the information we need about what the town wants within its app comes directly from one person rather than a whole committee. That will ensure that the app gets developed a damn sight quicker. Fundamentally, that's where we're coming from on that. But the digital officer, if you like, is as well as, I think it's necessary, that is somebody that should be appointed and taken on and funded from within the app. There are other funding routes. We're well aware of some of the bid organizations that are around the country, where the whole thing can be funded from within the bid money. and they don't want the businesses to be contributing again for the app. So there are several different places that funding can be obtained to have a digital officer looking after it. But it is fundamental, we think anyway, that that person, you know, is appointed as soon as possible to keep things running. It's not possible for us to manage all these town apps individually. We train people to do it locally. It's much, much more effective.
And two follow-up questions on that one. So if a town were lucky enough to have a digital officer that you could hand over the responsibilities of the app onto, start to finish, how long would it take to start to develop an app for a town?
Okay, most of our apps are developed within around about 6 weeks from start to finish. We think that would take quite a bit longer with a town app because a lot of people are involved in the process. If we're doing it for an individual company, the cycle time is much, much quicker. But we can produce, it is possible to do it in 6 weeks from start to published app on the app stores. But it's down, a lot of it, it's down to gathering the data. That's the bit that takes the longest for some, like a town, to gather all that data together to put into the app. That's not something that we can create. That's something that the individual businesses would have to create. We can obtain the links easily if there are links to local government, to travel, to whatever the app decide, the app owners, if you like, decide they want to link to. That's easy for us to do, no problem at all. But actually, the business directory, okay, would probably take the longest, to gather together.
I mean, the only option for that is literally to scrape off the Google My Business data and use that fundamentally as a starting point, and then people can just amend that information then, so that could kind of speed it up. But it is still quite a process to get done. Just one thing, just in case we didn't make it clear, the Harpenden Guide is just one design method they used. We can design it to suit whatever people actually like.
Yeah.
So where it's all just down in one long list, if you like, that isn't the only option. There are plenty of different options for the design and the way that it looks.
The look of the app will be down to the committee that put it together. It's as I said, it's your app, your way, and that's what we do fundamentally. But we'll also tell you what works and what doesn't work best. But each town app, I guarantee, will look very, very different to the others. Everyone will have their own way of doing things and want to have things looking in a particular way. I think in Wales we're in a great position in terms of the views and the scenes that we can produce on some of the towns. I think compared to some of our towns that we'll be dealing with in Wales, Harpenden is relatively boring as a town, and I think they'll forgive me for saying that. But there are some fairly spectacular places in Wales that we will utilise the imagery that's available for those towns right at the front of the app.
Yeah, and the second question I had was, rather than a town app, this is taking things to the kind of the next level, if you like, because I know there's people who've been a part of the Year of Smart Towns project representing local authorities. Is it something that you think you could do as a company, maybe a county app, but within that app you'd have, obviously this would be kind of next level and would require a lot more work, but if a local authority were to think that they'd have a digital officer who could take this responsibility on. If the framework was there so that a local authority had a guide for its county, and then you'd have a drop-down list of the main towns in that county, and you click and it takes you to a page where you then got not as much information. Maybe it's just a business directory, transport, and walks and walks and parks or something like that. Is that something that could be possible?
Absolutely, Thomas. Yes, it's you can break it down if you like. You start with a county and then bring it down. Okay, but yes, fundamentally the framework is there to be able to do that, and people would then come in at whatever level they wish to find the information they're after. But if you like, yes, a county-wide app would work, and we could divide it. Yes, and there is a lot more work involved. It's a bigger project, but for sure, individual towns could be represented from within a county-wide app.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Maybe just a few more questions from me before we finish. If everybody else has got any questions, make sure to ask them before the webinar finishes. So you mentioned that an app could have the capability to draw in data from footfall sensors that a lot of towns in Wales will be able to receive. But what I wanted to know was, is there any data that a town app could provide you? So, for example, could you know how many times a certain business were getting clicked on the app? Is there some sort of data that the app itself can provide to people?
I think we can. What we've got currently is the ability to display, number one, how many downloaders there are. So that's the starting point, is how many people have actually got the app. We can show which parts of the app are being used most. We can show how long people are actually spending, and how much time people are spending on the app, and which bits are being spent most time on. I'm not aware at the moment of being able to bring it down to individual business level. Okay, that would be a pretty complex, point, if you like. It's something that I have to investigate with our developers, okay, as to whether it was possible. But it's how far you actually dig down into that data. It's probably there, okay, but so the number of clicks and where the clicks are going should be measurable. But at what level we're actually currently doing it, I'm not sure. Okay, I know how far it goes right now, but for individual businesses, I think trickier. I think what we'll be doing a lot of is measuring how much extra business people were getting, and how many more hits they were getting on their websites than they were getting before people downloaded the app. That kind of information is available to those businesses individually. But to answer your question fully, I really, right now, I couldn't tell you, but I will find out as to how far this could actually be measured. But it's a great idea. I can see why someone would want this.
Yeah,
just to add to that, if people are connecting from the mobile app to their websites, the website tracking will also show up where it's come from.
Yeah.
So they will see, that will be a statistics on their website tracking.
Yeah, the reason why I was asking primarily was because in the demo that you did, I noticed that businesses can pay, or they've got different memberships. They've got the bronze, silver, and gold memberships, and it would be good to have data on this. What could a gold membership offer? Having a bronze, you'll be able to reach an X amount of number of people, whereas if you decide to upgrade to gold, you get this many more clicks and, you know, increase the amount of people that go onto your website by this amount. It was just a thought that I had when you were going through the business directory, and I saw the different memberships.
I'm with you, Thomas. Yeah, I think the memberships, you know, differences there, if you like, is to how much exposure you're going to get from within the app, and I think the key one is allowing people to have their social media links, okay, within a certain package. But you see, these are just, you know, this is just an example of how it's being done. It doesn't have to be done that way at all. You know, it's entirely up to the people of the town as to you know, how much or how little of this they want to use. And when we spoke with a larger town not too far away from us, they said they didn't want the businesses to be charged at all, and that it would be fully funded from within the bid. So you know, you're going to get so many different versions. I think every app, you know, every town will have its own ideas on this. But I can see where you're coming from, Thomas. But I think if we're not careful, we'll overcomplicate things.
Yes, no, I totally agree. The reason why I was asking, because obviously the Year of Smart Towns is trying to encourage towns and businesses within these towns to consider ways of using data to be able to compete against the big businesses online. And, you know, these big businesses have all this data and have the skills to be able to tell you, oh, this advert received this many clicks, which led to this amount of sales. And it's just trying to think of ways where we can provide the smaller businesses on the high street these opportunities as well. So that's why I raised the question. So if people who have attended today's webinar and the people who will be receiving the recording wants to get in touch with you, do you have a slide, or could maybe put your contact details in the chat, whatever possible?
Could you put that? This is the last slide, wasn't it, Steve?
Yeah, I'll just do that now.
So if people have any questions or would like to get a town app, then Steve's and Bob's details are there for you to get in touch with them. Also, if you want to get in touch with me as part of the Year of Smart Towns project to ask any other questions, then feel free to do that as well. And on behalf of everybody who's attended the webinar today, I'd like to thank you both for presenting. I think the content and the demo was really interesting, and obviously shows so much that an app can offer a town.